You missed it. Just a few hours ago, the Perth Mint, a trusted government-backed institution, quoted $127 per ounce for silver. And here's the kicker. That's a $35 gap from the price you're seeing right now, the price you're probably familiar with, $91.45. But this isn't a mistake or some short-term spike. It's a clear signal. The Western vault system is breaking. This is not speculation. It's confirmation. So why is this happening? And more importantly, why should you care? Stick with me, because what I'm about to reveal could change everything for silver and your investment strategy in the coming weeks. So let's break this down. Right now, you're being told silver is worth $91.45. That's what you'll see on the news, on your portfolio, and even from major exchanges like COMEX. But what Perth Mint just revealed, $127, isn't a fluke. This isn't just an Australian problem or a random supply issue. It's a global red flag. And I'll tell you why this matters. This is more than just one market's price surge. What we're seeing is a shift that's spreading fast, and the clock is ticking. Why? Because the gap between paper prices and physical prices is only getting wider. The question is, can it last? Now, let me make a bold claim. The price you're seeing for silver on COMEX is a complete illusion. It's just paper. What Perth Mint just did, and quoting $127 for immediate delivery, exposes the entire system. You can print futures contracts all day, but you can't print physical silver. And here's where it gets even more shocking. The gap between these two prices, it's only getting bigger. Last week, Shanghai was already signaling trouble with a $13 premium, but now Perth is quoting $36 over COMEX. This isn't some isolated anomaly. It's a sign of a system that's starting to fail. And that's a huge problem, because if the paper market can't deliver, it's only a matter of time before the whole thing collapses. So what's coming next? Now, this situation is escalating fast. Think about this. The last time we saw a disconnect like this was during the 1980 silver squeeze. Back then, a paper market went wild, just like now, and the physical market ran dry. But this time, it's worse. We're not just talking about a short-term spike. What's happening now is part of a bigger trend, one that's been building for years. We're seeing the normalization of something that shouldn't be normal. A government-backed mint quoting prices higher than the official paper price. That's not something you ignore. And here's why it matters. When the physical market can't keep up, it sets off a chain reaction that could change the price of silver forever. But the big question is, can the paper market survive this? Here's the real kicker. It's not just that Perth quoted $127, it's that the actions are contradicting the words. The media, the analysts, they'll keep telling you silver is fine at $91, but the market is already proving them wrong. Perth's $127 quote isn't an isolated incident. It's an admission that the paper price doesn't matter anymore. When a sovereign mint with over a century of credibility is forced to sell silver at a price this far above the paper market, that tells you everything you need to know. The paper system is broken, and what's worse, it's collapsing right before our eyes. So here's what changes. When a physical asset like silver is being sold for one price in reality and another on paper, the floodgates open. And you don't want to be left behind when that happens. And now, let's stack this crisis. First, the Shanghai premiums were already signaling problems. Then Perth Mint confirmed the gap, a massive $36 over the paper price. And now, it's happening fast. Every hour that gap stays open, the pressure mounts. And what happens when pressure builds like this? People stop playing with paper and start demanding the physical metal. When that happens, the whole system cracks. COMEX, the vaults, the pricing system, it's all built on fractional reserves, meaning there's not enough metal to meet the demand. And when the system runs out of metal, the whole thing implodes. So what happens next? If this continues, things are going to get ugly and the silver market will never be the same again. Now let's talk about what this means for you. The average person isn't watching these vaults or monitoring the premiums, but the ones who are, the real investors, they're already making moves. They're grabbing every ounce of physical silver they can find because they see what's happening. When this system collapses, it's the everyday people who will feel it the most. This isn't about big institutions anymore. It's about individuals who can see the writing on the wall. If this feels familiar to you, if you've been watching and thinking about the risks in the market, say so in the comments. But here's the hard truth. If you're not positioning yourself right now, you're going to be too late when the real panic buying begins. Let's step back for a moment. We're all focused on the price of silver, But what's driving this chaos? It's not just about supply shortages. It's about the system that enables this to happen in the first place. Think about it. We're looking at a fractional reserve system in a world that no longer has the resources to back it. The vaults are empty, and the paper market is relying on promises, not real metal. This isn't just about silver. It's about trust. When the system can no longer deliver on its promises, everything starts to unravel. And here's the unsettling part. The system is designed to let you keep playing along as if nothing's wrong, but the cracks are already too wide to ignore. The truth is, this is the kind of power shift that has the potential to change the global financial landscape. So, what comes next? There are two possible paths, and both are equally uncertain. On one hand, the paper market could adjust. COMEX might close the gap, raise prices, and try to stabilize. But here's the thing. Once a price disconnect like this happens, it's hard to reverse. The pressure is already too great. On the other hand, the collapse could be much faster. If the physical supply continues to drain, with Perth quoting $127 and Shanghai at $103, we could see a full-blown crisis, and if that happens, we won't just be talking about a silver price spike. We could be talking about a new normal, one where the value of your silver, your assets, your money is forever changed. The worst part? No one can predict what happens next, but the momentum is already there. Whatever happens, the next move is already taking shape. Here's the bottom line. If you're still holding on to silver, the reality is staring you in the face. $127 per ounce is the real price of silver right now. The system is cracking, and the paper price is only going to get more meaningless as this gap widens. So what happens if you're right about this thesis and hold on? You could be looking at 140, 160, maybe even higher, but you need to know when to pull the trigger. The exit plan is just as important as the entry plan. If you're sitting on physical silver, don't let the market run you over. Take profits on the way up, don't get caught up in FOMO, and know when to sell. But if you're still on the sidelines, don't wait for the mainstream to tell you it's safe. By then, it'll be too late. This is your chance to act before the opportunity vanishes. So if you're serious about staying ahead of the curve, hit that subscribe button for real-time updates. You're going to want to stay informed because the next move is already in motion. And if you've made it this far, you're part of the few who understand what's really going on. Keep your eyes open and make sure you're ready for whatever comes next.